Hello, in this video some statistics. The titles I went through so far in this bigger series, kind of to get to know more about Nazi Germany. And I have, I think, 25 books gone through so far, which 22 books it says here. I'll probably just run through the list. Or do I do statistics first? I'll probably do statistics first. Statistics are all the time nice. So, we are now in November. Yes. I'm just calculating the hours together. So it's 60. I've listened to already 320 hours of audio with 19 books. I actually want to calculate how many pages are those. So I started in 2020, not really planning it fully, but then during this time, 2020, I was collecting some works I wanted to listen to about it. So in 2020, I only listened to about 20 hours. Then until August, I had about 100 hours of audio, in total 4 books this year. And then in August I started a bit more in depth with Richard Evans, Third Reich trilogy. Actually, I was surprised in August, September, beginning of October. I only managed, one book almost each month, which is not much, at least for what I'm doing now compared. So, but yes, by September I had only 170 hours, but then I managed almost 90 hours in October, 5 books in total. And yes, in September in November now it picked up greatly with 61 or now close to 70 hours and 6 books. About this topic. In the other video, I just mentioned kind of what my plan is for the next 1.5 months, because I want to wrap up this topic, and I will see if I get through everything. It might be probably my listening list. There will be a few books I'm not going through. I probably can pick them up if whatever I'm too highly motivated and need a downer. I can listen to some more stuff, but I don't want to extend it too far. So now I just want to go through all the books kind of in chronological order and say like 1 or 2 sentences about them, what they are. And I plan basically in December, January, I plan to make a video where I go through all this again and maybe give a better, or I want to give feedback to myself or to anybody who wants to do something similar, maybe how to structure kind of the reading, because it's a really big topic, and I don't think I just only scratched on the surface, but still, as it's only secondary sources, it's some form of more detailed scratching on the surface, but I wouldn't say that have become an expert on any of those. I've definitely heard way more names, more context, but it's still more shallow than deep, I would say. Even though if I complete everything, my plans is in end of December, I will have almost completed 500 hours, 25 books about this topic. So it's something, but still, there's more to look into, and actually compiling a list of biographies and things to look into, or to save them up for the future when I look into it again in 5 or 10 years. because there are many more interesting books coming out, especially about Stalin from, what's his name? Stephen Kotkin, I think is his name. But and also I'm waiting for Volker Ulrich's second Hitler biography to be available on Audible. Those things might take still a few years before they become available, or I might find the time to read again, but I somehow doubt it. Okay, so now the list of books I went through. So back in 2000, I read Andrew Roberts' Churchill. It touches on many things, but back then I actually wasn't listening out for particular points. So ideally, I would listen to this book again. So Churchill wrote his one of his book, Great Contemporaries, where he wrote about Hitler and some, I think, not sure which other Germans he mentioned in there, but it would be interesting to hear again what he had to say about them, kind of which points he saw as valid, and now with more understanding, which points were fair, which points were mistaken, and just kind of have a more better understanding. So then in early, the first book about the series I listened to, it wasn't then a series, but I started a book from Ian Kershaw. It's called The End, 18 Hours, Germany, 1944 to 45. Quite interesting. I would like to listen to this one again. Then the second one was Hitler, a biography from Ian Kershaw, 44 Hours. Also quite good. I find this account quite impersonal, and I would like to have it like more in context with Volker Ulrich and many of the other Hitler biographies, but I'm not sure if I ever will get around to listen to them as well. Then there was this book about the Germany after the war, called Wolfszeit, 14 Hours. It also was quite interesting. Then a book which was the worst book I listened to so far. It's called The Germans in Normandy from R. Hargreaves. 13 Hours. It jumped back and forth through different levels of the military hierarchy, and it reminded me of the books I was consuming in the 90s, which were more about the horrors and hardships the ordinary soldiers had to go through. Not really deep in content. So far, the worst book I had in this whole series. Then a pretty good book, The Nuremberg Trials, which was in March, 26 Hours, from G&A Tusa. I want to listen to this one again because it will be a good roundup. And then the trilogy of from Richard Evans, The Coming of the Third Reich, Third Reich in Power, and Third Reich at War. Quite good, all three together or individually. They're 21, 32, and 35 hours. I listened to them in August, September, and until mid of October. Really good. I learned so many new things. I heard about so many different accounts. I bought it also as hard copy. It's really good. Then I listened to Lawrence Rees's Hitler and Stalin comparison, 18 hour. Also really good, especially I like the jibes from Stalin towards the Western Allies and how long it took kind of to figure out how he sees this. But it also displays, it gave good insight kind of the position of Stalin, kind of what he was waiting or where he got promises which were broken. And what was interesting in this book, kind of the huge emphasis on hunger as a weapon from Hitler and Stalin and their policies. Yeah. Then a kind of a low-level book, Bis zur letzten Stunde, or Until the Last Hour from Traudl Young, one of Hitler's secretaries. It was quite good. I liked it that it was balanced and kind of this person felt compelled to make kind of the experience available for future generations. Described like many conflicts that arose of her working for Hitler, and also quite a good account. I think at least one of the other secretaries of Hitler's also has a biography. I wouldn't mind listening to the one from The Chauffeur and from The Bodyguard, and probably some other books from some other people which were very close to the center of power, how they experience it. Yeah. So that's this. Then the one more economic focused called Speer from Martin Kitchen, 19 Hours. It was the last book I had in October. I also liked it a lot. It goes into details, shows. I actually was, or is one of my few critiques of this book. It could have went more into detail comparing Speer's account and the reality, or what we can see nowadays is a reality. But that's only a minor critique point. Then a book from Volker Ulrich, the first. Oh no, this was the last one in October. 8 Days in May from Volker Ulrich. It was okay. It jumped over many things. It picked up on many topics which happened prior to the 8 days in May. It was okay. Just a good, how to say, kind of summary of things and reminder of many of the different topics which are going on. Then a biography about Goering, which was quite good, 15 Hours from Manuel and H. Frankel. Delved into many topics because Goering was involved everywhere. Definitely a personality. I wouldn't mind coming back to see more what's going on. And that's also one reason I want to go, or I wouldn't actually mind seeing the full accounts of the Nuremberg trials, but I forgot how many hours it is. I think it was like something like 200 hours or so of audio recordings. And I haven't seen like a full account somewhere available. It's probably some more archival work. Then the book Nazi Wives, which was quite interesting to see how different higher echelons of the Nazi elite were living their private lives, which roles the wives of those men took. Just only 9 hours, so I think it was like only 1 day or maximum 2 days for me to go through. Then an account of an American, I forgot what it is, of an American, not soldier, but kind of higher up officer, and Roswell K. Doughty, 14 hours, quite good, gave some quite good combat insights, and actually it would be interesting having an account like he had from the counter side, and then doing something like Tick does with his big series about like Kurland or Stalingrad, just to see how different involved parties, how their worldview, their understanding, their military training, their logistical and material situation influenced their day-to-day combat. Quite yeah, this would be something very nice, and this book kind of brought this idea about. Then a book I also was surprised to find on Audible, The Master of Auschwitz, Rudolf Höss, 14 hours. The first chapter there, I couldn't listen to it. I had to stop it. I actually want to re-listen to it because I knew already so many things and it was just too boring. But then it goes into his upbringing, his musings about prison systems, and the way how he was ideal to run concentration camps. About almost like 40% of the end of the book is actually not about him, but is his reflections about his colleagues, many SS men. Also quite interesting. It kind of reminded me on blame moving from him to others. Pretty much a lot of people which are mentioned there, take the blame for why Auschwitz couldn't run in the way he wanted it, why people weren't fed, and that Auschwitz was like a place where many branches of the SS dumped the people they didn't, couldn't keep in any other position. It would be interesting to know how much truth is to this, because in some accounts you can see the bias, for instance, where he mentioned that he thinks that also millions of Germans died during the air raids, which was clearly not the case. Sorry, it gets late. What's the time now? 22 to midnight. Anyway, the next book is Hitler's Children from Gerald Posner, 9 hours, which was a quite good account of kind of the second generation or the first generation after the collapse, how some people stood to their parents and how some completely defied them. For instance, Niklas Frank is definitely somebody I want to check out. And also the history from Frank in the Protectorate. It would be interesting to hear more about it. And actually, I'm looking for a book about all Gauleiters, which is giving like a brief overview of kind of their lives, what they did, and in which way they influenced the Gaus they had, and which kind of maybe how corrupt they were. And excuse me, will be a terrible video here on me, but it's late. I can't do videos earlier. And then the current one, To Hell and Back from Ian Kirscher. It's quite good. Starts a bit, I wouldn't say boring, but in the beginning with the First World War wasn't too interesting for me. It deals with Europe from 1914 to 1948. Currently, Operation Barbarossa started, and it gives to many things a good high-level overview. And I probably also get it because just £10 a hardcover. I think it has one of the most concise descriptions of the Second World War, like 1 or 2 chapters, like really, very good overview. And it's kind of similar to post-war, and he actually also wrote one from 1950 to 2000 something, which is then dealing with the Cold War, and I probably will find then many parallels to post-war. Also, a similar book to which I won't listen straight away, but I have it on my list, is from Richard Evans, from I think it's 1814 to 1914, 100 years prior to the First World War. Europe and power in Europe. Quite also quite interesting. A thought I had about this, the last two books, is it actually would be interesting to know more the education system or the prevailing worldviews prior to the Second World War from the people, kind of to know kind of what they learned in school, kind of how the media landscape was, kind of what their influences were of understanding their situation in history. Okay, so this is just a semi-long video. Let me see if I can say anything else. No. So yes, overview of what I've gone through so far, and I'm really hope I can have a better list afterwards, and just kind of the sheer number. I didn't know that. I forgot because I was doing those statistics one of the last nights, like 3-4 in the morning. I forgot that it was, if I managed to go through all the books I want to go through, 500 hours. It's quite something, and I actually want to know how many pages are those. I think it might be still under 10,000 pages, but I might be mistaken and already over 10,000 pages. Actually, let me think. Ian Kircher's 90 hours are 1,000. Yeah, so it's not. It's maybe 6,000 pages of audio. All right, so I think that's all. I'm wondering if you can say anything about some of the next videos. I'll probably just pick up one of those topics I have in here. Make some quick 5-10 minute videos about my thoughts about certain aspects from Nazi Germany, and my kind of my touching points with this topic, and we will see how we go from there. All right, bye bye.